for people who don't know anything about what it is to be a certified B Corporation, and I think you just announced it in January of this year, tell just the average person who knows nothing about it what this certification is.
Yeah, so the gist of it is it's our expression that we believe the best way to run a business profitably over the long haul is to look after our employees, our customers, our suppliers, our community, and the environment. And that if we overemphasize any of those things, um, it'll get us out of balance and we won't be able to grow as fast as we otherwise would or make the impact. Said another way, we all can think of a list of ways to make money, right? And we all can make a list of ways to do good, right? And so what we've decided to do as a company is to find those good things that we can do that will result in profitability and to relentlessly optimize that intersection and to take the cash flow that's generated as a result to put back into our business to enable us to do even more good and make even more impact.
And so this literally is a formal commitment. There's an entity that oversees and audits and certifies. So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm hearing you right, it's business for the sake of success when it comes to workers, customers, vendors, communities, and the environment. So sort of a holistic approach to if we're going to be successful, we have to be good in all of these areas.
Right. It's not. I just refined it. It's that's one way of saying it.
Hmm.
The way I would say it is, we're going to be successful because we're being successful in these other areas. That is our definition of success, right? And we want to win and succeed, but in a highly specific way. And so besides the kind of belief system, the two parts that tie in here on the legal side and on the certification side is we changed our corporate structure to be a benefit corporation.
Hmm.
And what that means is that instead of our board of directors being accountable as fiduciaries to shareholders and making sure we don't break the law, they are now fiduciaries for those five stakeholder groups that I shared with you, in addition to being fiduciaries for our shareholders. And then on the certification side, we have been audited by B Lab, which is the certification body, and we answered a number of questions on this B impact assessment, and they went through and vetted our responses and made sure we had enough points to be able to earn that certification.
I looked on B Lab's website, and it looks like at this point there are about 6,500 companies in the world that have been certified as B Corps. Um,
Yeah.
that's shocking considering the number of businesses that exist in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, 6,500 out of how many millions and millions of companies there are.
Yeah.
Um, Let me back up a little bit, Peter, and just ask, when did this idea first, when did you first start, thinking about this and why you wanted to go down that road? Was there a moment or was it an evolution?
Um, I'd say 4 or 5 years ago, people started saying, "Hey, the way you're talking about your business, you should think about being a B Corp." And I said, "Well, what's a B Corp? Like, what's that mean?" And people would, throw different books at me, which, candidly, I didn't have time to read. So my assumption was, I was like, all right, this seems like some sort of weird corporate structure thing. Sounds like a waste of time. Like, I'm just gonna keep doing what we do. Um, then someone actually said, there's the same book. It's called Accountable. I'd had like 6 or 7 people send it to me, so it's on my shelf. Like, looks like I sell this book because I had so many of them. Right? I'm like, all right, like the world's telling me something. I should probably actually read this thing. And then I learned that the guy who wrote it like lives 2 miles away and was like friends with some friends that I have. And anyway, so read it, started becoming more interested in it, and it took. I probably spent a year just walking around thinking about it. I talked to my leadership team about it. and asked them what they thought, asked them to read some things. We listened to this great podcast called Big Time Small Business, which gives 10 really good examples. Actually, sorry, that podcast was about stakeholder capitalism. They have 10 different examples that they go through. That's what really resonated with me, because I started to see these 10 businesses were all doing it in a very different way, right? It's not one thing. There are all sorts of different avenues to try and make an impact. And knowing that B Corp would give us a framework to think about how we wanted to leave our mark, right? But it wasn't prescriptive in precisely how we did it. It seemed like a really interesting way to decentralize and kind of democratize our decision making around what we want to do from an impact perspective. And the fact that we can get a certification and be vetted by a third party is really powerful for us, because I can look at people we're hiring or people we're buying from or people we're selling to and tell them, like, listen, this is how we're different. This is how you should expect us to show up for you. These are the things we believe. And by the way, like, it's been vetted and confirmed that, like, what I'm telling you is actually real. And so those are the reasons why we decided to make the plunge.
What was the process like, Peter, of getting certified?
Mm-hmm. So it starts with this B impact assessment. Anybody can do it. Go on to B Lab's website. And this, to say it's an online survey is an understatement, right? But looks like an online survey, right? Here's a question, pick 4 different answers. But each time you pick something, it kind of unlocks these gigantic wormholes of more questions, right? So I'm a guy who usually, the thing says, oh, it'll be, 30 minutes to fill out this online thing. And I like whip through it. I'm done in 10, right? This thing, it said it would take, I don't know, 3-4 hours, somebody told me. It was like hours. I mean, I must have spent 20-30 hours. And a lot of these questions, it was humbling. So it was like, I don't know the answer to this question about this business. Like business
give
isn't that big.
give me an example, Peter, of like what were some of the questions on that initial survey?
It asked us what percentage of our suppliers are within 75 miles of our building. No idea. Like, never really thought about it. It asked us what the trends have been in our electrical usage over the last few years. And then it asked, it's like, okay, we're using a little more power. Like, I got that. Then it was like, how about amount of power per unit of product you're producing? It's like,
oh my goodness.
Never really thought about that. I couldn't tell you. Same thing for water. Asked us what we do when, like a cell phone dies, company cell phone dies. Like, how do we dispose of it? I don't know. I have no idea, right? So just all these things that, if someone asks a question and you hear it and you don't think it's important and you don't know the answer, like, it doesn't really bother you. But if you read 100 questions, that you read them all and you're like, oh gosh, this is like a really important thing. And I have no idea. It's very humbling.
So once you get through that initial survey, then kind of take me through the process. What happened next?
Fill out the survey. And that was all with me kind of like, I wasn't guessing, but I was putting my best guess on these lots and lots of questions. And I realized I needed help. So I found a way to export it to Excel, and I put a name of a different person on our leadership team next to every question that kind of made sense for it to belong to them. And I said, hey guys, like, these are the answers I put down. I think they're true. For some of them, I really took a shot in the dark, but can you go through and like update it to what you think? Like, put the real thing in there. And so they know more than me, right? So they made it more accurate, but there's still a bunch that they didn't know. And so at the end of this, in order to get certified, you have to have more than 80 points. And so we did not have more than 80 points. And so we had to decide, there's a million ways to get better. We had to decide what made sense to us. And so as a team, we said, all right, these these are the things we're going to do in order to make sure we can get above that threshold. We've worked with groups like the University of New Hampshire. They have a Bee Impact Clinic. And so they sent us students in 2 different summers that we worked with. We've had interns come in and help us. But it's very much been a whole company lift in terms of getting this up and running and deciding how it is we want to do this and how we want to show up.
What would you say, Peter, is the biggest sort of aha in terms of we were doing business this way then, but this process of getting certified as a B Corp made us really show up better here?
Where I feel it the most is there have been times in, you know, in business, in like work, a job, and anything where you're going like, do I want to do the right thing or do I want to make money? Right? Like, this is clearly the thing you're supposed to do, but this would be more profitable. And, more often than not, you choose the right thing. But you always have this friction of like, eesh, like, I keep doing this thing. I wonder if it's like that friction in that decision making process is hard. And when a whole group of people in a whole company are making that decision, hundreds of times a day, it's tricky. And so the shift in thinking for me with B Corp is that it's not an either or. It really is an and. Is how do we always do the right thing in a way that's going to drive our profitability and drive our growth? And I know if we're leaving our customer better off, we're leaving our suppliers better off, we're leaving our team members better off, I know the business is going to be successful, right? And so it's just taken all that friction and decision making out, and it's made it much more of an optimization thing of, all right, here's 10 ways we can make our team members' lives better. What are the ways that are best and most aligned with making sure we're taking care of all of our stakeholders?